Hey guys, it's almost 6 in the morning here, so I gotta be a little bit quiet. Today's video is gonna be a little bit different. I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand, and I think this is one of the reasons why we have this very tribe-like issues around the world. There's many reasons, obviously, and I don't claim to understand or know them all. And this is just one of my own personal opinions. I think this term, malice, intentionally doing something for evil or for malicious purposes, is not as common as we might think. I think that most people commit evil acts or perform evil things not out of malice, but out of fear, sadness, or ignorance. For example, and I think that if you were to explain to them how they are coming across negatively, they may or may not stop that behavior. So to really explain, personally, I don't think that a lot of people do things purely for evil purposes. Now, I do believe there are evil people, sociopaths, psychopaths, murderers, etc. They do exist, and they are bad people. But if you look at the underlying psychology of why people do, for example, very basic things that are mean, like name calling, or otherwise, there's other stuff there. Okay, so, for example, a male bully in high school may put down his peers because that increases his own value in his mind and perhaps in the minds of others. But nonetheless, he's doing that to benefit himself, right? He's building his own, I suppose you could say, just social status in that high school, right? And for a lot of people, status is king at that age. And if you associate with other people that lower your status, that is like a grave sin or something. So anyways, let's look at this in another light. Let's say that person is putting that person down because now here let's say perhaps, and this may not be true, perhaps that person is saying that because they feel like shit, because they feel worthless and they want to build their own ego. It's their ego, right? Now, I don't know if that's true in all cases, but that's a potential, right? That's potentially possible. Another thing is that not all evil is done for evil purposes, for the sake of being bad, right? Not all bad things are done for the sake of being bad. For example, a car accident. An individual may have like some sort of like road rage, right? They're really angry, they're flipping people off. They get into an accident. Now, here we quite clearly can see that even though their behavior could be seen as wrong or perhaps even evil for causing that damage, to other people on the road, if we look at the underlying reasons here, they're angry, right? So perhaps just perhaps they were mistreated. Perhaps they got cheated on. Maybe they just got fired. Maybe they lost something and they're really angry. Maybe they lost their house. There's so many number of reasons for that activity. However, the end result, what we see, is an angry person on the road. We don't know the backstory. We don't know the history, right? So what we do is we prejudge and make the assumption that that person is just a really nasty person, right? And what they're doing is nasty behavior. But you have to understand the underlying reasons and the underlying psychology that is causing this interaction to occur. It's caused probably because of something else. Perhaps they have hormonal issues and they're very irritable, right? Perhaps they have taken some sort of stimulant, and some stimulants can cause irritability. Perhaps they, like I said, perhaps they just got fired, right? There's so many numbers of reasons. But what we see, and in our quick judgment, is that we judge and deem that person to be nasty, mean, and rude. However, we don't know what they're going through. And in this instance, by judging them, they could be in some real pain, and we're basically saying to them that we don't care. Now, obviously, it's very difficult to work with people who are just quite literally obnoxious, right? And that person's pretty obnoxious in that story. But this is not always the case. Sometimes we can help people, but we don't. Personally, I have the belief that love supersedes a lot of the issues we have in the world. But it has to be genuine. And it cannot be exclusatory. You can't exclude certain people or certain groups of people. It has to include all. Because if we include all, we can then become and understand each other and understand the deeper reasons why we do what we do and why they do what they do. And by understanding these things, we get a little bit closer, just a little bit closer to world peace.